All right, today's lesson is on polynomial functions from Module 4, Lesson 1, and Reveal Algebra 2. And so the first thing we need to realize is for any power function, all right, or any function that is kind of in the form f of x equals a, some number a, to x to some power n, all right? And so once I have a function like that, a is the number in front. So a represents my leading coefficient. N is the exponent or the power, all right? It represents the degree of the function. And so by looking at this, I see here that the degree here is x to the fourth, or 4, so it's an even degree. All right. The leading coefficient is 1/4, which is a positive number. All right. Over here, it's x to the 5th, so the degree is odd. And the coefficient in front is just 1x to the 5th, so it's just 1, so it's a positive 1. And so from knowing the degree and the leading coefficient, I want to be able to interpret the end behavior. And I always start with the right side, the true end, because we read in our culture, we read from left to right. And so to me, that is the true end. It's like it begins here, ends here. That's just how my kind of frame of thinking is. And so the true end relates directly to the positive negative. So because it was positive, it ends on the right going up. Because it was positive, it ends on the right going up. Now, as for the beginning or the left side, when it's even, they do the same thing. They go the same direction. And so when it's even, the left side is also up in this case. Because the right side was up, the left side is the same. When it's odd, all right, when it's odd, the right side's up, the left side is down. The odds go in opposite directions. All right. And again, the right side is always following the leading coefficient being positive or negative. Make sure you know how to write it in end behavior. As x approaches negative infinity, it's just a fancy way to say left. As x goes towards the negatives, which means as it goes left. Y, f of x is y. Y goes up. As it goes left, it goes up. All right, y approaches positives. The higher it goes, those are the positive numbers, and so that's going up. As it goes right, it's also going up, and so this is just a fancy way to write that. As x approaches positive infinity, y, or f of x is y, is approaching positive infinity or going up. Same thing here, left and down in this case, and right and up. So when I look at negatives, this is negative x squared and negative x to the third. The leading coefficient in both cases is -1. This is an even. This is an odd. But that leading coefficient being negative tells me that the right-hand side is going down. And then even, they're going the same way. Odd, they're going opposite ways. And I would write that in end behavior. X goes to negative infinity. It's going as it goes left. F of x approaches negative infinity. As it goes left, it goes down. X approaches positive infinity. F of x approaches negative infinity. As it goes right, it goes down. As it goes left, it goes up. As it goes right, it goes down. You've got to be able to read it and interpret it and write it in that notation for end behavior. When I look at this example, describe the end behavior of f of x equals -2x to the third using the leading coefficient and degree, and then state the domain and range. So I'm going to make a note up here. Just by looking at that, the degree is odd. It is 3, which is an odd number. And then the leading coefficient is -2, which is a negative number. So as I write my answer, I'm going to write end behavior first. X approaches. I always like to do right first, but I'm also going to always do right and left. So I'm going to go ahead and get that out of the way. So as it goes right, what's happening? As it goes right, right? That's the first answer I can find. As it goes right, the leading coefficient is negative. So as it goes right, negative means it's going down. Right? As it goes left, is this one going to be the same or the opposite of this? Odd goes in opposite directions, and so it's going to be the opposite. So it's just going to be positive infinity. Right? And for domain I had positive infinity and negative infinity, which is all reals. And for range, I had negative infinity and positive infinity, which means the range is all reals. We've been over standard form. Standard form, if I look down here at quadratic, remember for our class, you have to know quadratic, cubic, and linear. Those terms, it is okay in our class if you simply call this fourth degree, all right? And this one fifth degree, all right? Or if you know the words quartic and quintic. Right? If I skip down quadratic, standard form means I put x squared before x to the first, before no x at all. X to the third comes before x to the second, comes before x to the first, comes before no x at all. All right? Going down to quintic, x to the fifth, then x to the fourth, then x to the third, then x to the second, then x to the first, and no x at all. And that's all that's trying to say is go in order, decreasing by 1 each time. And so to fill out this graph here, or this chart really, all right, the degree here at this level, the degree is 1, x to the first. The leading coefficient, the first number I come to, is 3. The degree here is 2. That's why it's quadratic. The degree is 2. The leading coefficient is 8. At this level, the degree of the first term is 3. The first number I come to is 2, so 2 is the leading coefficient. All right. And this one is x to the fourth, so it's fourth degree. The leading coefficient is negative 6. All right. And then x to the fifth, that's fifth degree, and the leading coefficient there was 12. Okay. And so they have to be in standard form. So these are 2 examples where they are in standard form. But make sure if on the homework assignment they're not in standard form, you rewrite them in standard form first. All right. And then just this wants to know the degree and the leading coefficient. The degree and the leading coefficient. Right? And so for this one, the degree is 4. The leading coefficient is 2. For this one, the degree is 3. The leading coefficient is 7. Right? The leading coefficient is just because it's in standard form, the first number you come to, the degree is that exponent there on the first term once it's in standard form. Okay. Zeros, this is now just a review of what we kind of had in quadratics, except for going above for quadratics. Zeros or roots are the places where it crosses the x-axis. All right, and so for here, the answers would be like negative 2, and then like 1-ish, and then like 4. All right, now because of that, you know it's an x to the third graph. If you remember, those 3 real answers means it's at least x to the third. All right, and so all this is asking, though, is how many real zeros. State the number of real zeros. It has 3 real zeros, 3 places where it has real answers. All right, where it crosses the x-axis. All right. Also kind of important to keep note of changes in direction twice. All right, that's going to come up in this unit. So always notice that when you're looking at a graph too. How many times does it change direction? And so this has a real 0 here and a real here. So it has 2 real zeros. And your homework assignments on that page. I wish you nothing but the best. Good luck.